Freyja's just got her new sweater in the mail. Why don't you give us a walk around, Frey? Look at that. Look at those colors. Look at those autumn colors. It's a nice one. Doing it back.
What's that furry thing on top of there?
What you got, Minnow? Top of where?
No, probably.
Look at that. Hi there everyone, it's Emily and Freyja is here as well, as usual. Here at the centre, Steady Wave Centre for Contemplation in Abbotsbury, Dorset, England. And today I wanted to talk about something I get asked about a lot, which is how do I act, what do I say, what do I not say around and to someone who has just been diagnosed with a life-limiting illness or a terminal illness. All right, so you've just learned that someone you know has been diagnosed with a life-limiting illness, terminal illness. They're probably gonna die. That's what we're talking about. How do you act? How do you support that person? And how do you overcome those feelings of fear that you have of maybe saying the wrong thing or making the person upset? And of course, you're going to be having really difficult emotions as well, but that's a whole nother topic. We're today going to talk about what you can do to support the person with the diagnosis and maybe what to say and maybe what not to say. Now, this is broad, general advice. Of course, I don't know the person that you know. I don't know them as well as you, but in general, this is pretty good advice. I first want to say that if you hear about this secondhand, it's probably best that you not mention anything until the person comes to you directly and tells you, or if they've posted about it publicly, like on social media, then it's of course acceptable because they're putting it out there for everyone to know and to comment on and think about. You don't want the person that's been diagnosed to feel like the rug's been pulled out from under them. You don't want them to feel betrayed. You don't want them to feel like people are talking about them and their life and their diagnosis and their illness behind their back. That's going to lead to feelings of hurt and sadness and maybe anger. So unless you're directly told or it's public knowledge, it's best to kind of hang back until that person lets you know in their own time. You might want to feel like, oh, I want to rush to support them. I want to rush to let them know that I'm there for them. And that's really kind. That's really great. But you got to remember that this is a lot for this person to be taking in, and maybe they're gonna, let people know as they feel they can. It would be really overwhelming to let everyone know that they're suffering from this, that they're possibly gonna die. It's a lot of emotions to deal with. You're dealing with your own emotions and then those of the people that you love and your acquaintances, your friends, your family. So I would say let them let you know in their own time and try not to take offense to them not telling you if you happen to find out and they haven't told you yet. The number one piece of advice I would give to you is don't disappear. Lots of times when a terminal diagnosis is in the works, people disappear. And the person with the diagnosis can feel abandoned, lost, isolated, and very othered. Other people aren't sick and I'm sick. I'm in this group, they're in this group. And that's a really awful feeling, to feel like left out. And this usually isn't ever because people want to make them feel like that. It's normally due to just simple discomfort. People are uncomfortable talking about these kind of things. People are uncomfortable with the fact that we die. People are uncomfortable thinking about the fact that this could happen to us. When it happens to someone that we know, even if it's not conscious, we're subconsciously thinking this could happen to us. So it makes us think about our mortality and our death, and that makes us not want to talk about it or be near it. Other ways it makes people feel uncomfortable is just simply not knowing what to say or what to do or how to support the person. They'd rather not be there at all than do the wrong thing. But that's probably the worst thing you could do, is to disappear and not be there for the person. You might also think, oh, they have so many people around, they're so supported, I'm just gonna overwhelm them. But I'm here to tell you that the number one thing you could do for someone who's just gotten this diagnosis is to say that you're there for them and be there for them. Actually be there for them. They are not other. They are still us. They are normal. Sickness is normal. Dying is normal. Death is normal. So how does one go about not disappearing? How does one go about supporting someone at this really hard time in their life? It can be as simple as sending a text message every week and just checking in, just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm here. Or calling them and saying, do you want to chat for a couple minutes? I've got a couple minutes in my day. Do you want to chat about things that are going on for you? So if you're feeling overwhelmed by this whole thing, and you can't physically be there to support them and to, do things like bring them a meal or something like that, just simply get on the phone, just text them, call them, be someone who's checking in on them weekly. If you do have the capacity to physically hang out with them in person, hang out with them. But I would say be specific. This person is likely going to be overwhelmed with medical advice, medical stuff, medical people, a lot of other things that they're dealing with that they weren't dealing with before. And also on top of that, the feelings and grief of people around them and from themselves. So it's going to be kind of a lot. So you want to be specific with how you broach the subject of hanging out or doing things together, or helping. So you want to say things like, I'm free on Wednesday. Is it all right if I bring over a meal that I prepared? Something like that. Or it can be good to present some options to someone during this time. So you could say, oh, I know you're free on Thursday. Would you like me to either bring a meal, or would you like me to come help with some housework or do your laundry? Specific things like that really help someone struggling at this time to accept it, because if you think about how much they're dealing with, if you say something vague like, call me if you need help, or I'm here if you need anything, they're probably not gonna do that. They're probably not gonna want to burden you, and they're not gonna want to be thinking about what you want to be handling on that particular day, or if you're free or whatever. So try to take the guesswork out of life for them. Keep the ball in your court, is what I'm saying. Keep the ball in your court and try your best to offer things that both you can do and what you think will be helpful for the person who's going through this hard time. So maybe make a list of things that you think would be helpful for this person going through this hard time, and periodically offer them specific times and dates to do those things for them. And if you have the capacity, it might be nice to sort of form a community, like maybe a WhatsApp group or some other group where you can chat with friends and family if you're that close to the person, where you can maybe get a meal train going or share the tasks like some laundry or household things, or picking up their kids from school, or whatever it is, going to the library with their kids, babysitting, that kind of thing. We've become kind of so isolated, and we really need people. We need people around. We need this support system, and we need help sometimes. And we have all of the technologies to do that now. Number 2, my second point, is keep a semblance of normalcy. So when this person is diagnosed, from that minute, their life has changed dramatically. They're probably going to be keeping tabs on their diet, their sleep, their medications. They're going to be talking to medical health professionals, nurses. They're probably going to have some kind of end of life plan. They're going to be being asked about what they want for their funeral or their will, will writing. If they haven't sorted that out, they're going to have a lot of stuff on their plate related to this illness and to this maybe end of life situation. So all of this can have the effect of sort of deleting the person who they once were. So you're no longer a person who, knitted, and you're a surfer, and you're an artist, and you like to go out to dinner, and you like to cook. You're now the sick person who's taken care of by family and friends, and you have cancer, and you take this medication, and this, and this. And that's understandable. I mean, whatever your life is filled with, that's kind of what your new normal becomes. But as a friend, as a family member, as a loved one, it can be really nice to maintain that sense of normalcy for that person. So if they did like to surf, if they were a surfer, and maybe this changes over time, so maybe at first they can still go surfing, so you go out surfing with them once in a while, but maybe over time their energy level changes, their health changes, and they can't go surfing anymore, but you can get your hands on some surf magazines, or watch some surfing movies, or talk about times that you did surf in the past. Maybe the person loved to cook before and they can't cook anymore, but they can sit on the couch while you talk about what you're doing in the kitchen and talk about cooking together, and then you can eat the meal together. Try to treat them as you normally would. Watch TV together, laugh together, go to the movies together, talk about stupid, silly life things together that you would normally talk. My battery died and I don't have a fully charged new one, so we're gonna try and go fast. Okay, so we're talking about normalcy, keeping normalcy. The last thing I'm gonna talk about is what to say, maybe what to avoid saying, what maybe not will be the best thing to say. So lots of times it's not as important what you say, it's just important that you're there. So even if you're saying nothing, and if you're in the room with them, sitting, being supportive, that is huge. That's all someone needs sometimes. So even if you're not confident in what to say, don't worry, just be there, just listen. Even if you just say, listen, I don't know what to say. I have no idea what to say. I can't imagine how you feel, but I'm here to listen. That is more than enough for most people. And to that point, empathizing is huge as well. Just simply saying, I cannot imagine what you're going through right now. This must be so hard for you. Or I know you're in a lot of pain. That must be just really difficult. How can I be here to support you? Be an active listener. Make sure they know you're listening and digesting it. Don't aim to fix their problem. Don't aim to give them a solution. A lot of times just listening and acknowledging their pain and their feelings, it's all they need and all they want is an active listener, someone to be there, a friend, a loving presence. And that's the biggest thing. So instead of agonizing over the perfect thing to say, just by saying, I'm here to listen, I'm here to be with you, I'm here to support you, that is all that they need to hear. Some things that maybe wouldn't be that helpful in a lot of cases are to say things like, it's gonna be all right, you're gonna fight this, you're gonna overcome this, referring to the diagnosis as a kind of battle to overcome, and that they are going to do it. And then pairing that with anecdotes like, my aunt had this kind of cancer and she overcame it, and now she's been living for 5 years cancer-free. Or I heard on the news that this man had this tumor and he survived. And things like that. They're well-intentioned, and that's maybe what we think that we would want to hear if we had that diagnosis, but usually it's not that helpful. So try to stick with things like empathetic words, words of support, offerings, and just listening, really being there as a person, not disappearing, being there. It's also best to keep spiritual and religious views to a minimum or to nothing if you don't know where they stand religiously or spiritually. A lot of people think that by saying they'll pray for the person would really help, but if they're not into prayer, if they're not into religion, that's not gonna help, and that's gonna make them feel kind of weird, I bet. So unless you know specifically their views on the afterlife and religion and spirituality, it's best to keep that to other people, because chances are they're going to seek that out themselves, or someone's going to come to them if they need that spiritual guidance or that spiritual help or that help from a church or a church professional. So my battery's dying. Of course, there's so much I could say about this. There's so many nuances. There's so many different, you know, experiences and ways that this could happen. But if you have a specific question, if you have a question about anything I've said, just leave a comment and I will reply to it, or leave an email or a message and I'll get back to you. And thanks so much for watching. Love you. Bye. Endlessly fascinating to a young Chihuahua. Sure, she has a bunch of toys, bunch of chew toys and treats, but she just wants to chew on this drawstring.